The doctor said, "You're crazy. You're signing your death warrant." I said, "We're all gonna die from something, but I'd rather try this first and see what happens." 73 now. If I hadn't made that one choice, I shudder to think where I would be today, if I would be here.
How did that feel, being told that maybe what you had chosen is not the best route?
Initially, they treated me like I was pariah. They said, "Have you lost your mind? You really think that some over-the-counter type medication is going to rival what we have here?" After I had my first report, they were scratching their head. They said, what are you doing?" So I spelled it out for them.
How did your osteoporosis diagnosis then shift and impact your day-to-day life?
My husband was extremely ill for 10 years. I was his caretaker. It was gruesome for both of us. He had a very difficult convalescence. You want to help your loved one, and you don't think about yourself. They told me, if you even sneeze, you could break a bone. That's how bad your bones are. Now I'm planning my life. I'm aging backwards. I want to give other people hope who have bone disease, and I want them to try AlgaeCal. AlgaeCal can help you.
Hi, I'm Monica from AlgaeCal. Today, I'm thrilled to chat with one of our amazing customers, Bernadette DiMadonna. Bernadette has been using AlgaeCal Plus and Strontium Boost for nearly a decade, and she's here to share her incredible journey with us. From dealing with severe bone loss to confidently challenging her doctors, Bernadette chose to stick with a natural approach to bone health that felt right for her. And now, she's living her best life, completely free from the fear of fractures. We can't wait to hear her inspiring story and the results she's seen since starting her bone health journey. Welcome, Bernadette, and thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you, Monica. It's great to be here. And hi, everyone. I'm Bernadette DiMadonna, and I'm here to give you an update on my bone improvement since last year when I gave it my first testimony. And I recently had a DEXA scan. The one before that one was reading at minus 3.50. And today I'm minus 3.0. So I am a postmenopausal woman, and that's a remarkable change going in the right direction. During menopause, you tend to lose much more rapidly the bone density. And with this product that I've been on for, I want to say, about 10 years, I've been gradually climbing each time I have a bone density test. So I'm really delighted because I was at one point a minus 4.34, I think it was. And the doctors were... They were throwing their hands up in the air. They didn't know what to do with me. I also had a jawbone problem and had to have that reconstructed. So the IV infusions would possibly cause jaw necrosis, which would mean I'd lose all my teeth and my jawbone. That's one of the side effects. And so I had that going on, and they were saying if I didn't do something quickly, I would likely have a hip fracture, which would mean surgery. And they said that would probably cut my life short. I didn't want to hear that. So AlgaeCal gave me another option, and I took it. And the doctors thought I was really being foolish for not jumping on the IV infusion and taking my chances. But after I had my first report, they were scratching their head. I was just jumping with joy, literally. And they said, what are you doing? So I spelled it out for them, AlgaeCal. And my one doctor was so happy for me, he just jumped out of the chair and hugged me. So I did a squat for him right there in the office. And I've been a customer ever since. I'm adding the collagen complete because I have total faith in AlgaeCal with the quality of their products. and I'm continuing to do well. I started exercising with small things in the beginning, just stretching and whatnot. And then I graduated to weight training. And so now I'm lifting 70 pounds. And I'm doing that 4 times a week. And I stay with my program. It's synergistic. I'm working it from all angles. The diet, I frequent the AlgaeCal ads and, watch and see who's doing what. And I look at their exercise programs and I read the doctor's comments back to the patients, their clients rather. And I enjoy all of it. It's a complete program. It's not just, a bone density builder. It's everything. It's a community. The doctors are reputable, and so are all the representatives.
That's
So
nice to
I'm
hear.
very pleased with it.
That's so nice to hear. Thank you, Bernadette. And I think where I would like to take us, it sounds like right now you're doing everything right. You're supplementing, you're weight training, you're eating right. And so I want to take us back to maybe the beginning of your journey. Where did this all start for you? At what point did you say, I'm going to focus on my bone health, and why?
Well, back when I was about 50 years old, I started having bone loss. I was so busy being a caretaker to many different people. And it went in one ear and out the other. Okay, I got bone loss. They said, no, you don't understand. This can be a real problem for you in the future. And I was just concentrating on what was in front of me, not what was going on inside of me. So I let it go. And then as I hit my mid 50s and toward the late 50s, they said you have to start at least taking calcium over the counter. I did that. I do have a background in medical, so I was not happy with anything that was going to cause side effects. And I myself suffer from chronic hives, and I'm allergic to many things, especially medications. I can't take pain medication. There's so many antibiotics. It's a mess. My health was really a mess. And I had thyroid issues and I'm on Synthroid. And so I let it go until I was in my 60s. And then they started saying, you've got to really do something. And when I saw the rapid decrease of bone density, I agreed. I said, I have to now focus on me and see what I'm going to do, or I'm not going to be here very long. So that's what I did. I went to the computer after the doctors they wanted me to sign right then and there that I was going to go right to the hospital and start my infusion. And I was in terror, literally. My mother had just had 2 hip operations, 2 fractures. She fell out of a wheelchair. And that's what I was seeing. I said, this is my future. So I went on the computer and I just Googled natural products, bone density increase. And AlgaeCal was the only one that caught my eye. The rest of them looked like they were just selling over-the-counter calcium. But AlgaeCal had given a more in-depth description of what occurs during bone loss and how to prevent it. That's where I learned about osteoclasts and osteoblasts. And it made so much sense to me. And I said, this product, it being, a plant-based and not a piece of rock that's been ground down and put into a pill and sold to the public. I said, this is the real deal. If this doesn't work, then I'll have to, take it from there. But I'm the kind of person who doesn't look too far ahead. I just do what is, in front of me. So I tried it. The doctors said, you're crazy. You're signing your death warrant if you don't go right to the hospital and have an infusion. You're committing suicide. And I said, we're all going to die from something, but I'd rather try this first and see what happens.
That,
And I'm still here. I mean, that was when I was maybe 60. I think I still have, I'll give them to you later. I still have my bone densities from when I was 60. And I'm 73 now, and it's going in the right direction. The reports are now showing an increase, and I feel stronger. I'm sure that it has something to do with the exercise, but it all started with AlgaeCal. If I hadn't made that one choice, I shudder to think where I would be today, if I would be here. I'm also a 16-year breast cancer survivor. I had an aggressive breast cancer. And to come through that and then lose my life to something that I could have just taken a supplement for. And frankly, AlgaeCal was working way before I started the adjunct therapy. It really gave me a wonderful foundation. It was the springboard to my saying, well, let me get my maximum benefit. If I can just take a pill and have this much increase of bone density, let me really dedicate myself to doing it all. And I'm so happy with it. I'm grateful for the product. It jump started me in the right direction. And I find that it's like, you guys are a little bit like my doctors. I want to come in and check in with you and see who's doing what so I can, do the same thing. I'm following your progress as well as my own.
we're, like you said, we're a community, and we share on both ends, and I think that's what really makes AlgaeCal so special. And you said it in your own words, that it's not just a product. We really want to be here to provide that holistic support, aside and beyond just product based, whether it's the community or help with our bone health consultants. And I keep thinking of your personal challenges. One being, of course, you being breast cancer survivor and going through that. Bone loss, was that ever mentioned or talked about as you were going through treatment, or was this all a surprise post, this
The
treatment?
doctors tend to treat you by disorder as opposed to holistically understanding the full gamut of what even just a weak thyroid can do. And I believe that the thyroid was the instigator in all my other issues, that and stress. So I later learned that thyroid meds will, in fact, I just went to an endocrinologist, and he discovered that I was told I had Hashimoto's. I had a left hemithyroidectomy. And I was now told my left thyroid was starting to grow back. I thought I felt a lump, so I went right away for a check. And I was told that I don't have Hashimoto's. They did the blood work, and there was never any Hashimoto's. Yet in the beginning, 45 years ago, when I had thyroid surgery, they just assumed that my thyroid looked like Hashimoto's. So all those years, I was taking thyroid medication without the need for it. And now I'm told that very possibly the thyroid medication was what destroyed my bones. So I said, what can you say? What did they know 45 years ago?
Yeah.
They don't know what they know now, but I think, everybody should really just jump on this, because this is, you have to take your health into your own hands and deal with it, because the way the medical system is right now, doctors they can't give the attention they used to give. There's so many patients, and they're so pressed for time that they just want to either write a prescription or treat what they see in front of them without taking, as I said, the whole patient, the whole person into consideration and dealing with the origin of these diseases that come up.
Mhm. And so as were speaking to your healthcare practitioners and they were telling you in your 50s, pay attention to your bone health. And then again in your 60s when you said, okay, this is it. You shared that they weren't very enthused about kind of the natural approach. How did that feel, being told that maybe what you had chosen is not the best route, to put it kindly?
Well, I'm stubborn. My mother told me that when I was a little girl. And if I get something in my head, I've got to really thoroughly investigate. And I wanted to protect myself from mainstream medicine. I only take mainstream medicine in a dire emergency. If I know I need it and it has to be done immediately, like I had the surgery, I had bilateral mastectomy. I did not take chemotherapy. That was another issue. The doctors told me, you found it yourself. It was so tiny, but it was very aggressive and it had not gotten into my nodes. So I was very lucky. And they said, you found this yourself. You're the poster child for breast cancer, for women's self exams. And now you're going to throw it out, all out the window by not taking the chemo. I said, I don't want chemo. If I take chemo, I'll be dead now. They told me I'd be dead in a year if I didn't take chemo. I said, with my allergies, I'll be dead tomorrow, the day after I start chemo. It's been 16 years. It has not returned. I'm still here and I'm working on my bones. I'm making my bones great again.
Your bones. And how did your osteoporosis diagnosis then shift and impact your day-to-day life?
Well, before my diagnosis, I wasn't paying attention. When I got my diagnosis, I was busy, but it wasn't anything healthy. All the things that I had to do, I either had to work, take care of when my husband was extremely ill for 10 years. I was his caretaker. It was gruesome for both of us. He had a very difficult convalescence. And he was a big man, and I'm a tiny thing, and I had to lift him and in the bed many times a day. That you just want to you want to help your loved one, and you don't think about yourself. It's actually, I believe it has even that has a diagnosis nowadays when the caretaker burnout, and usually it's only one person that all that ballast is put on. So before, that's where I was, and then when I got the diagnosis that it was really dramatically dropping, the bone density was dropping, I focused on, I was my caretaker. And I was scared in the beginning when I started. But that glimmer of hope that I got, that it was arrested, the rapid bone loss was arrested, and there was a minor improvement. That's all I had to hear. I said, I'm off and running. I'm going to do this 100%. And now, as I said, I don't feel 73 years old. I feel better now than I did in my 50s when I was first told that this was a problem.
And so you shared at the beginning of this conversation that at one point your T score, I believe, was minus 4 point.
Minus 4.34.
4.34. And so for those that don't know, a T-score of anything minus 2.5 and above is osteoporosis. And so, minus 4.24 is you're getting into significant severe osteoporosis
Yes.
range.
And at my age, it's almost unheard of, or it was to me, that anyone could naturally reverse that. And I am only 1/10 of a point away from osteopenia.
I love that.
By my next scan, I guarantee you I'm going to be up there.
And we'll have this conversation again, and I can't wait for that. And so at that time though, when you're seeing those results and you're speaking to your doctor, did you ever experience that fear of fracture, that state of fear because of that?
Now or then?
Then.
Yes, then I had to move. I had sold a house and I was moving into an apartment. And I was exhausted on top of, a job that I had and whatnot. Uh, and I was trying to get up into a closet it was an older house. And they have those, the closets go way, way up. So I wanted to put something all the way up there. And I was on a ladder, and I was so tired. I said to myself, I better not fall. And I looked back here. I had my bedding was all on the floor, and I fell. I fell backwards. And in that split second between midair and on the floor, I thought, this is it. They're going to come find me dead. And when I fell down, I realized I fell on a bunch of pillows that were on top of bedspreads. And so it softened the blow and nothing happened.
So very
And I
fortunate.
just, I realized that I had to start to make arrangements if I was going to do that kind of thing, that I just can't do everything myself anymore. But I'm not afraid of falling anymore. I'm working on foot exercises. I have a great PT team here, in South Carolina, and they taught me how to work on my feet muscles.
Great.
So that I don't lose balance, because I was starting to, like, if I went to turn around too fast for something, I was starting to lose a little bit of my balance, and I could see that. So as I said, I'm just working on all angles to protect myself for, my mid to late 70s and into my 80s. And I'm keeping aware of that, which also helps train the brain. In the beginning, you keep forgetting, but as you focus on, how am I turning? How am I walking? Do I have proper protection in that area? Then it starts to all meld in together, and you don't think about it anymore. You just walk correctly. And like I said, with the lifting, now I was doing chiropractic. And interestingly, I had a 50-degree curve of scoliosis. Now it's 25. That is unusual, because by my age, normally the bones are set and they're not going anywhere except to fall more. Now, also, the osteoporosis was exacerbating the scoliosis because the bone wasn't strong enough to hold the bent against the way it wanted to go. So with the chiropractic, I finished with that, but me doing the lifting and doing core exercises has pulled everything in. And I mean everything, including female organs. I almost had to go for surgery. They wanted to do a hysterectomy. After I started the gym, I don't have a prolapse anymore. So there's so many ways around mainstream medicine that are working for people. I'm very happy to be a part of it. It's a new lease on life. And who doesn't want to have life until they have to die?
Quality
When God
of
takes
life.
Yeah, the quality of life is remarkable with just a few tweaks in your daily routine. Doesn't take much to take 2 pills in the morning and 2 in the evening, and make a nice hot chocolate AlgaeCal collagen complete drink for yourself and sit and relax. And then go to the gym, get those endorphins flowing, and build your core muscles. And I think when you do that, you're going to keep your stamina well into your 80s, maybe 90s.
And such a journey, and there's so many pieces that you're talking about here, right? I like to use the analogy of like a puzzle or a bone health puzzle. And at AlgaeCal, that's really what we want to promote, is that, of course, like AlgaeCal as a supplement and a program is crucial and so important, but you should be doing anything and everything to help yourself with your body awareness, like you said, with your feet and your body in terms of just energy and stamina at the gym. And so I love that you're sharing that it's not just one thing, it's many incremental steps and pieces that we're building upon to really create that puzzle for you, Bernadette. And so choosing a new supplement is a really big decision, especially when it comes to something as important as your bones. So before trying the Bone Builder Pack, AlgaeCal Plus and Strontium Boost, what other steps did you do to support your bone health?
The only thing I did was over-the-counter calcium. And it went right in the trash when I started reading about AlgaeCal. It did nothing. And then I learned that it could possibly be deleterious to your arteries and your heart muscle, and where it can end up and anywhere but in the bones. And I had never taken the vitamin D3 either. And when I was after I had the breast cancer surgery, I researched causes for breast cancer, vitamin D deficiency. And I said, how come nobody checked me for my D levels? So the doctor says, oh, all right, we'll do it. I was severely low in vitamin D.
Do you know your levels at the time or just low?
Now I'm normal, but I don't remember. It was like a little bit of a haze because I went right in, had the surgery, and then they bled me out. So I had to have the surgery twice. The next day, I had to have it redone because I was hemorrhaging.
So you've had a lot of challenges with your
Yeah.
health and your experience.
And I'm still here talking about
And you're
it.
still here with us talking about it. And so you talked about, you found AlgaeCal, you were researching, doing your homework to make sure it was right for you. What influenced you to choose AlgaeCal? Was it the clinical studies or the guarantee?
Both. Plus, I could see that it had all the ingredients necessary. I didn't have to take a vitamin C pill. I didn't have to take boron. I didn't have to take magnesium. It was all there. Vitamin K, vitamin D3, I said they did their homework for me. I didn't have to run around to, the vitamin shop and start grabbing 15 different bottles. It was all there. It was simple. It was expedient. I remembered in the morning. I keep it right out in front when I get up in the morning. It's the first thing I see, and I make sure I eat with it because I read all the materials and the best results will be had when you XYZ. So everything that AlgaeCal said to do, I did. I minded all aspects of it. And these are the results.
These are the results. And so when you decided, you said, AlgaeCal is for me, and you took that information and that decision to your doctor, what was the response?
Initially, they looked at me, they treated me like I was pariah because they knew I knew my medicine. They said, have you lost your mind? You really think that some over-the-counter type medication is going to rival what we have here? And I said, what you have there will give me bone reduction after 5 years. That's as long as I can take it. What am I going to do if I take that and I'm 60? What am I going to do when I'm 65? Try AlgaeCal then? I said, I'm not going to lose that much bone within the next few months. I said, I told them I felt like I was taking charge of my own health issues. It's my body, my choice. And, they just shook their head. They really were angry with me, if you ask me. They were, I think they felt offended that I didn't maybe trust them. But
Yeah.
like I said, they don't have to deal with the after effects of the medication, the side effects. I was notoriously a difficult patient in that area. It's rare that I can take an actual medication without having all types of weird side effects from it. And I'm aware of that. I mean, when I go into a doctor's office, I right out say to them, I'm going to probably be your worst nightmare.
Acknowledgement though, and I think that's goes to your story and your approach is you really wanted to again do your homework, make a decision that felt right for you, but also take into consideration, your like you said, the allergies and the some of the adverse side effects that you've experienced with
So, a
those.
good thing was that because I'm like that, I've always had to do my research and decide which is worse, the disease or the side effects. And AlgaeCal had no side effects. So it was a no-brainer.
And
It
so
it was it sounded like it could work. It made a whole lot of sense. I was thrilled that somebody finally came up with a solution to at least one of my problems. And it made all the rest of my life easier to deal with.
that's so
So,
nice to hear. It
yeah.
is. So, I mean, starting something new, usually there's a mix of excitement and hesitation. And I'm hearing so much positivity when it comes to AlgaeCal. But at any point where did you give pause and have any hesitations or concerns?
I'm the type of person who maintains my hope. Um, Ever since I was a little girl, things would get bad. Anytime something would go wrong, I'd say, well, in the future, God will help me, whatever. And I have a strong faith. And I saw AlgaeCal as a divine gift that was waiting to be opened. And I was going to open it. I would never refuse God any gift he wanted to give me. So that's how I looked at it. And I don't project too far into the future because I have enough to deal with right now. Every day brings a new challenge in some way. And I just take one step at a time. But with AlgaeCal, I'm going to keep stepping in that direction and stronger.
It's amazing. And so, on the other hand, hope. What were you hoping for when you first started AlgaeCal? Did you have some expectations when you first started taking it?
Had no expectations. I remember feeling encouraged. And that was enough to get me to begin the treatment with AlgaeCal. I had no I don't. I figure if I don't expect too much, I'll never be disappointed. And that's the way I basically have run my life. Uh, but with AlgaeCal, I thought, okay, maybe it will at least stop the progression, the rapid progression, because I read the portion that stated that in menopause with the low estrogens it just starts going backwards really quickly. So I said, if I get no progression, but just halting or retarding the bone loss, then I would be happy with it and I'll still take it. But I had a slight improvement. So that's like double what I would have expected.
And you kind of hit the nail on the head there because expectations are so important as you start a new program. But as you've mentioned, when you're going through the menopausal transition, there is accelerated bone loss, and so if you're able to just stop that bone loss, that's a win in and of itself because of that
Exactly.
acceleration. When you
That's the way I
reach,
was thinking.
yeah,
And I would have been happy at that level, but I was delighted to hear. At first I didn't believe it. I kept looking at my DEXA scan and my doctor was like this with the paperwork. He said, Bernadette, we looked at each other and he just jumped out of the chair and hugged me because he knew all
congratulations.
my other challenges.
Yeah.
And to have one less thing to worry about was such a relief, really. As I said, it was a great gift. to me.
And so that response, I mean, is so warming to hear that, I guess it was a change of heart for your doctor after he saw the DEXA
Yeah.
scan.
When after we, talked about it a little, he said, okay, now, so tell me exactly what you did. Cause he said, I have other patients that need this kind of help. And I told him exactly what I was doing, but that, of course, I have augmented my, my treatment plan of my own little, schedule. But at that time, I told him that this is what I'm taking. This is crazy. Why are people being subjected to the torturous routines of IV, infusions, and then the side effects, and having to? It's not even just going for the infusion. Then you've got to worry about now what's going to happen to me. And I know of several women who had done that, and they had no jaw problems to begin with, but they ended up losing all their teeth. Unfortunately, the jaw necrosis kicked in, and now their bones are still bad because they can't go back on it because they took as much as was permitted. So it's almost like they're maiming people. I'm not saying they're doing it on purpose, but I'm glad this is widespread advertisement now, because other people can jump on the boat and see how they can be helped with minimal effort and minimal cost. If you compare what you're going to pay for AlgaeCal to the surgery that you might need, or jaw necrosis, what dental bills cost nowadays. And after I got on AlgaeCal, that was beginning. I had to have one tooth supported.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, and that was about 7 years ago, I've never had another problem.
Wow. That's amazing.
So it's working in my jaw, in my spine, everywhere.
Everywhere. And so for those that, maybe have just started AlgaeCal or looking to try AlgaeCal, I know that, the first few weeks taking a supplement it can be an adjustment. And so we talked about, or I heard you talk about kind of habits. So forming a new habit isn't always easy. How do you make that simple to add AlgaeCal to your daily routine?
Repetition. If you forget, just go right back and do it again.
Mm-hmm.
When you do it on a steady basis, you will see some improvement. How much does that mean to you? Yes, you're going to forget. Probably I didn't. I was like so hyper focused on using this product, and you kind of imagine it working as you're using it. Okay, like I'm into it 7 days now. I'm 7 days forward in my health progress. And if you can think in those terms, as opposed to, I got to start taking 2 pills twice a day. If you look at the positive aspect of what that's going to bring you and how much that far outweighs the negative thing of the inconvenience. I don't consider it an inconvenience of having to take 2 pills in the morning and 2 pills at night. That to me is minor compared to what would be in store for me if I didn't take those pills. And I'm not the type of person that I'm just like, okay, what do I got to do now? All right, this is what I got to do, and this is the result I'm going to get. I do it. Mm-hmm. We all have to get up in the morning and brush our teeth and wash our face and hop in the shower. What's another, taking 2 pills in the morning and 2 pills before you go to bed?
Well, I love how you mentioned too, the physical reminder, of just having that right there when you wake up, or I've heard from other customers, there you go, in front of your sink. It's all right there, just on every table. In front of your sink at night before you go to bed, like just those physical reminders and the presence is always helpful too. And so I love that, you're also visualizing your bones building as you're going through day 7, day
Yes.
14, month 3, year 10 now. And so I think that's so important to keep in mind as you are prioritizing yourself and your bone health. But you've touched on sensitivities, some reactions. Did you experience any of those adverse side effects with AlgaeCal?
None whatsoever. I never had any type of GI problems with it. As I said, I have chronic hives. A lot of times, if I get allergic to something, I'll break out in a rash. Nothing. If I can take it, I really think anybody can take it. The other thing that I did, I learned about the chemicals that are in our drinking water and, plastic, eco plastic type things, particles. So I always have an ecosystem and I have it run through my whole house. And clean water really flushes a lot of toxins out of your system. Toxins attack the bones, they attack the brain, they attack the liver, everything. So that, knowing that I'm drinking, that I'm taking my AlgaeCal with a nice, clean, fresh glass of water that could have come from it's almost like mineral water. It could have come from a spring. That makes me feel good too. It makes me feel like I'm back to nature as opposed to all the toxic things that are, being spread around in our world today.
Absolutely. And so, support. I want to touch on support a little bit on your bone health journey. You've mentioned, the community and our customer service team, BHCs, before, bone health consultants, as we like to call them. Can you elaborate on your experience there?
Well, I remember when I first wanted to start AlgaeCal, I called and I spoke to a wonderful female representative who was very accommodating. And I asked her so many questions, like, could you send me the ingredients? Because I have these weird allergies. They were so sweet and kind and informed, and they were willing to share their knowledge. And I wasn't even a customer yet. So I said, these people really care. Um, and that's why I wanted to, purchase the product and then get started on it. And I started getting the newsletters. And as I said, I like to cook, and I have a habit of wanting really clean, good, nutritional food. But by the same token, I have a sweet tooth. But when I started reading, how can you satisfy your sweet tooth without getting too much sugar? Because sugar will damage your bones. Sugar causes cancer. Sugar this and sugar that. But um, so they have all these wonderful recipes that you can try. And once you get accustomed to a little less sugar in your diet, they taste great. And sugar tastes too sweet. So that helped. And, just reading about the people who are involved in the production and the research and, Dr. Laura Pizzorno and Dr. Doug Lucas and all the, they keep people are being attracted to AlgaeCal. More and more professionals are noticing the results of candidates who have taken this as their mantra. To wake up in the morning, take my AlgaeCal, go to bed at night, take my AlgaeCal, and they're seeing results everywhere.
And I
So
think that's so amazing as you touched on it. Sorry to interrupt, but more healthcare professionals are advocating for AlgaeCal, becoming familiar, and a lot of that also has to do with you and our customers when they're advocating for themselves and then getting those DEXA scan results and sitting down with their healthcare provider and they're seeing the results, the actual scans, and they're going, whoa. And so I love that. And I'm so glad you're sharing, but I know too that, part of that is also because of you and our customers and sharing that with them as well.
Yeah, when I went for my last DEXA, I didn't say a word. I walked in there and they started scanning. And then when they let me up off the table, the woman said to me, the technician said, uh, 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 "Are you didn't take any kind of IV infusions?" I said, "Nope." And she said, "Oh, what are you doing, if I may ask?" Well, right away I knew my scan results went up, a notch. And so I told her about the product. I used to, whenever I was doing anything in medicine, if the bones came up, I always told people, this is what I'm doing and it's working. And like I said, my other doctor, I was leaving Florida at that time to come to South Carolina. So I never really found out, I had to leave him there, unfortunately. But I assume he took down all the information. I assume that he was probably telling some of his patients that they might want to try this, especially if they were just, beginning their journey with bone loss.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
That's when if you can grab it then, I think you probably would have a better result even than I had.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I had known about AlgaeCal when I was 50. I would have definitely taken it.
And so beyond the numbers, how has your improved bone health changed your life?
Well, I feel like I have structure. Bones offer you structure. And I was thinking in terms of, okay, maybe I'm not going to be around very much longer. So how can you build on that? But with the news that my bones were going to be around for longer than I thought, well, then I felt like, okay, now I can plan. I can do things. I can enjoy myself again. I can read. I can go to the gym. I can exercise at home. I can dance. I can play my music. I can be alive. What starts here ends up, uh, kind of throwing you off. So I think if you have the positive attitude going into this program, even if you don't have bone loss yet, I would recommend it because it's going to support your future. My hope is that no one ever has to hear you're heading for hip surgery, a hip replacement. Um, you're going to break a bone. They told me if you even sneeze, you could break a bone. That's how bad your bones are. You have the bones of a 90-year-old woman when I was 60. That's not nice to hear. It's very disintegrating. It makes you feel like, oh, okay, I thought I was 60, but I'm 90.
Mm-hmm.
And uh, where did 30 years go? They went in a flash. And I still thought I was 60, but maybe I'll be like my mother. Maybe I'll end up in a wheelchair and break one hip and then have surgery and then break the other one and have surgery and die. So you start planning your funeral. Now I'm planning my life. I'm aging backwards.
Aging backwards. I love that. Many people are in the position that you were in and probably curious about AlgaeCal. And so I would like to ask you, what would you say to someone considering it for their bone health?
I would say if you don't try it, you'll never know. If you do try it, you'll be so happy you did that you'll be telling other people to try. I've been telling people about AlgaeCal for almost 10 years. When you find something that brings you joy, you want to share it, right? You want other people to experience the same joy. I talk to people who are going for breast cancer surgery. All my friends know that if they have, we have prayer groups and everything, that type of thing. If anybody's got a diagnosis of breast cancer and has to have a mastectomy, I don't know these people. They call me. I tell them my story. it gives them hope. I want to give other people hope who have bone disease, and I want them to try AlgaeCal. AlgaeCal can help you. It's a gift. Take it.
And so, Bernadette, looking back on your experience, do you have any tips or advice that might help others who are just starting their journey?
Starting a bone loss journey, don't let it intimidate you. Take charge of your health. Go natural. Natural's always better. And you'll see the benefits.
All right. So, Bernadette, thank you so much for sharing your journey with
Thank
us
you.
today.
It's been a
Hearing about
pleasure
the
being
positive
here.
changes you've experienced is just really and truly inspiring. And I know your story will so encourage many, many others who are looking to improve their bone health. But before we wrap up, is there anything else you'd like to share? Maybe some final advice or thoughts for others on this journey?
The older I get, the more I understand. Nothing's perfect, and it never will be, but you can make it as perfect for yourself as you can and be happy with that. You don't have to have the best bones in the world. You just have to have bones that will take you to the end of your life and give you the support that you need to get from point A to point Z. So be happy with who you are and do the best you can for yourself. And I think as you get older, you will settle in and be grateful for all the things that happen, both good and bad in your life. They're all learning curves. The things I would never want to revoke anything bad that ever happened in my life because it taught me a lot about life, about perseverance, and about love. And love begins with yourself. Too many times people are busy loving everybody but themselves. But when you take care of yourself, you learn that you're worth it, and you feel different. It gets rid of all the negativity to care for yourself.
Bernadette, what a wonderful final thought there. It's been such a pleasure hearing your story, and we wish you nothing but continued success on your bone health journey. And to everyone else watching, thank you for tuning in. If you'd like to learn more about AlgaeCal or hear other inspiring success stories like Bernadette's, visit our website or give us a call. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more bone health tips, including expert interviews, exercise classes, and so much more. We'll see you next time.